Good morning, America. How are you? This is Tabasco, your Gen X sophisticated biker, with a question and answer session of garage therapy. I have some questions. Maybe you guys can give me some answers. I presume to know nothing, and I understand that misinformation is abound on various things, but a lot of stuff fits together. And I'm wondering if you guys have heard. I know that there was a aid package. That's a fact that there was an aid package, and I don't want to be banned from our platform, so I'll try to keep it cool. April 23rd, 2024, allegedly there may have been a package totaling $95 billion passed by overwhelmingly supported by both sides of the aisle, which had a little tick on it called a aid package for Ukraine. There was a little bit of contention, I understand, that there were some things they wanted added to the bill or the act. So, one of those was that little tick, that little rider add-on that was, it's only a little $61 billion that went over for the support of Ukraine. Why I don't, they don't tell us that. I mean, well, we don't need to know that. I mean, we're just the citizens, man. We're just the milk cows here, buddy. But it had to include some provisions because the one side of that Senate, wanted to they wanted some things added. They wanted some to make a point, I guess, maybe that there was some help there for Israel because we know that there must be struggling in Taiwan. I don't know what's going on with that Taiwan. I mean, everything I buy has that tag on half the time if you don't look. And then, of course, to help Ukraine, our buddies. I mean, we've been so tight with them. They're strategically one of our biggest allies. I mean, I don't know why, but maybe you do. Isn't it weird though? Is it not weird? That was a question that allegedly that the current modern state of Israel was only founded in 1948, and they just seem to be everywhere. But those are the chosen ones. If you ask them, they'll tell you. Although there might be a little bit of a problem with that lineage there. They may not actually be the chosen one, but maybe they are. Maybe they are or not. Maybe they are the people of who they say they are. I don't know. I'm pretty sure though that going clear back to World War One, they may not be, but I'm just asking. I'm not saying. But we had to get them a little bit love too. I mean, you pay. You got to pay the bankers. You got that, interest and stuff. I mean, so that feeds back to or senior anybody. I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking. Does it? I mean, so the also had to put a little bit of a kicker in there because they wanted to punch Iran, Russia, and China. So we had to do some sanctions against them. I mean, we really got to sanction them. Bad. I got a new board here. Hit them, but I don't have my monitor head jack and I can't hear the applause and the yelling and stuff going on now in my new toy. We had to punch them with some sanctions. I mean, how do you sanction? I'm asking, how do you sanction a country that owns so much allegedly, or maybe they don't own all this farmland and all these things in the United States, and they don't send over billions of dollars worth of stuff like this cell phone, things like that. I mean, yeah, we should probably sanction them. I mean, because and just smack them on the hand. Let's just provoke them is what we have to do. I mean, those two are probably the only two superpowers aside from us. And I know they're probably not as powerful militarily as us, but they can definitely cause a headache for those of us that try to make a living or a life here. Anyway, so that got done somehow. That all got done, but that little tick, that little 61 million or $1 billion. We didn't need that here. I mean, you have to do that kind of thing to keep the peace, I guess. Do you? I mean, that's what I'm asking, I guess. But so then this week I'm hearing all about this selective service thing, and I don't know. I think I signed up post office when I was 18. I'm pretty sure I never talked to him again. They probably got my picture up on the wall in there. I'm on the lam at 54 years old, but I never heard from him again. So hey, whatever. That's on you, buddy. But the thing is this is an automatic change that does register our young men and women automatically for the draft. But I mean, it's only ages. I mean, I don't think they would ever expand that, would they? I mean, it's only ages of like 20 something, like 19 to 23 or something. I mean, so hell, I'm fat and old, I guess. I mean, we don't have to worry about if it's not you, right? I mean, but the thing is that also got through on a tick. And when I say a tick, what I'm talking about is I grew up on a farm, and I like hamburger. I like steak. Nothing against y'all, you vegetarian people and salad eaters. I don't like carrots unless they're cooked in a roast. But so a tick is that what a tick is, and it gets some big ticks. Sometimes used to in the summertime, I say them things swell up. That seems like it's the big tick. It's a $61 billion tick that was riding on something that had to get passed, which is much exactly what I understand happened this week, allegedly, or last week, whenever it was, that they voted on. They added this tick to the National Defense Authorization Act, which I don't know how often that is actually voted. It does provide for our military, which I'm all about supporting our military people and also defending our country, by the way. But I mean, so that was I think 860 some $1 billion thing that was passed by the House, but they say it may not get through the Senate. I'm like, well, what is it? I mean, what is that? And again, it funds our military for the budget authorization. Actually, it put in a good raise in for the enlisted, like 19%. They probably haven't had one since like, I don't know, 1996 or something. I don't know. Could be. Have they? I'm asking. But it handles military personal and pay, defense programs, R&D, weapon development, policy, stuff like that. Healthcare for our soldiers. I'm 100% for that piece. If I were to spend our money anywhere, that's where it needs to go, not somewhere else, not overseas. But that's just my own personal opinion. But I guess that believe it or not, so the Democrats weren't really down with it. I'm like, really? I thought everybody liked to go to war. I mean, isn't that profitable for everybody? I'm asking, isn't it? I don't know. Seems like that's the objective. But anyway, because it really had some harsh language, I guess, with regard to abortion restrictions on our military. I just don't feel one way or the other. Whatever the law is, it has to be the same for everybody. You don't get to impose more restrictions on people because they're literally risking their life for us. I mean, it seems like things might be a little backwards when it comes to some of that stuff. It's just, to me, isn't it? But there's some transgender healthcare language, and there's some a few other limitations that they weren't down with. So they voted against it. But according to ChatGPT and the interweb, it passed. There are 4 Republicans, according again to the interweb, that voted against it, and that would also be including the provision to send our children, to fight on foreign soil. Andy Riggs of Arizona, Eli Crane of Arizona, Ken Buck of Colorado, and Thomas Massey of Kentucky. And I have this new toy over here. Let me see if I hit the right button or not. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Some fun stuff there. There's a crow. I don't know what the hell that's about. Of all the sounds, you get like 7 or 8, and it's like I wouldn't probably pick that. But anyway, so those Republicans voted against. Now it goes to the Senate, I guess, and they say it probably won't get passed because of those other issues. I don't know. I mean, that's just the way it works. We voted, I think, about, I don't know, 6-7 years ago in Florida to do away with spinning the clock around all the time. I mean, what's the point? I mean, seriously. There may or may not have been like 13 months in the calendar that just arbitrarily got changed. What the hell's a fucking hour or two? But, but for whatever reason, I don't know why, the federal government has to vote on it. The Senate. We're never going to see that get done. And why? Aren't we a sovereign state? Who gives a flip, about what I don't know. Whatever. You'll never get the right answer. But the problem with these ticks, which you put on these necessary bills or acts, is that they kind of messed up everything, right? So this is for, like I said, $895.2 billion military spending package. It has a couple subs in there. Not Jersey Mike's, which is one of my favorites, but they're Virginia class subs. I don't even know if Virginia had subs, but pay raise 19.5%. I mean, all this is great. I mean, hey, let's hit that button again. Where's the applause? That all sounds great. One little splinter in there was going to send our 19 to 23-year-olds, I ain't going to say it. But let me just say this before moving on. I have 2 sons, 26 and 29, and I will just, this is my own personal view. So this doesn't speak for anybody. I'm not encouraging anybody for anything. But I just say this, over my fucking dead body, will they ever fucking show up in a recruiting for these people? Never, ever, ever will I allow it. Not a chance in hell. As these people, I mean, their kids are busy. I mean, they got places to go like islands and things like that, and overseas. They do really good at keeping up foreign relations with like China. I mean, I don't know why we're sanctioning them when they allegedly, well, no, it's not allegedly. It's fact that the $56 million was funded to a university after our elected chief left his last job, but he never really actually showed up. Now, you fact check this. Don't believe anything I say. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from voting for that guy again. I mean, that's what I would do. But, if I was not me. But anyway, yeah, so but over my dead body will my kids ever fucking show up for another one of your situations like this? Never in a million. Yeah. I have nothing but respect, 1000% respect for our military veterans and our active military. And I would defend you with my life. I'll defend my neighbors. I've defended people that turned on me or I didn't see the knife they had in my back while I was risking my life to defend them multiple times in the last, say, 20 years. But I ain't going to risk my kids' lives. Ain't going to happen. Buddy, to let you know now, buddy, not a chance in hell. Not for this profiteering and bullshit. And we all know what's going on. And many of you may not, and I didn't either. I was very busy running a big nation or helping to run a big nation. And we're all so wrapped up in our lives. And then we kind of look up one day and you're like, what the hell is going on around here? I hope that the younger generation, and look, I have faith in them. I know we pick a lot between Gen X and Gen Zs. There's some righteous kids out there, and they're raised by righteous people. There's always going to be that segment that is lost in their ways or just doesn't understand. And, maybe it's not their fault. Maybe they just don't have the capacity to understand. But so I didn't want to go too far off that before I said over my dead fucking body. Will my kids ever show up at a fucking recruiting place to fight for you motherfuckers? I mean, I said as politely as I could, but it's a fact. It's an opinion too, but it's a fact. Okay? But so these things get passed because they're riders, they're pork barrel. You've heard these terms, log rolling, Christmas tree bill. That's very cute. That must be around the holidays. I like Christmas tree bills, like $1 bills, $100 bills. Earmarks. I don't know about that. Earwigs, earmark, whatever. I don't like that. But so what they do is they take something. What was that song? A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So you basically take something that would never get passed on its own and you attach it to something that absolutely unequivocally must get passed or we'll just shut the government down. I mean, that's pretty wild. I wish we could have done that at work over the years. Be like, oh, you know what? I'm not real happy with things right now. And my boss won't agree with me or my colleagues won't. So fuck them. We're going home, man. And we're just shutting her down, boys. We'll be home with Christmas in our mansions and shit. Well, we'll see you next year. We didn't get shit done this year, but argue and try to arrest each other and sue each other. I mean, but, we're busy. We'll never get that time change thing done for Florida. Sorry, guys. But, yeah, so that's how these things get added. And that's how $61 billion got sent to a country. And I understand that it could be wrong. Again, it could be misinformation. But, that when our commander in sleep was overseas around Memorial Day, reading some speech that I guess President Reagan left on a podium or something. I don't know, left there, and he just read it or something. But anyway, that's what I heard. It could be wrong, so don't take me at my word. But, he slapped him on the back and said, don't worry, boys, we got more coming for you. And in fact, go ahead and use our missiles to provoke the two most powerful military places or countries in the world besides us. Let's do that. It sounds like a great fucking idea. So let's just do that. And so he wants to send more. But the way they get those things passed, so how do we stop all of this? Now, and I don't know. There are some movements out there. I've heard about Red Dawn. I really didn't even like that movie, to be honest with you. It was all right. Could have been much more violent, and it wasn't, but in my opinion. But how do we stop it? I mean, I know there's some movements there is a provision that you can get so many signatures, and 2019 they passed an anti-corruption bill that helped to keep the crooked money out of the campaigning and stuff. It didn't go far enough, and I'm for that too. We need to stop that. I think everybody should be only allowed to spend so much. Like you're allowed to spend $1 million, and that's it. So you can collect it however you want, but that's all you get to spend because it's just become out of control. It's way out of control. And in my personal opinion, nobody can get to the land of the rich men north of Richmond without owing. because you just can't. And there's always this machine, this political machine that just says we're not going to pick you, we're going to pick them. Two-party system. If you're an independent, good luck unless you're a billionaire or maybe Ross Perot. I don't know, but is he still alive? Because we need some math sense around here, man. It's going crazy. But anyway, so how do you stop it? Well, you got to take away the ability. Okay, electing local that then become state that then become national. I'll be long gone. My grandkids, God willing, if this plant's still here, they they might be my age. I don't know if that ever. You'll never get enough people. People are still like, look at the squirrel. They got you looking at this case over here, and this case, and that case. Look at this case. Look at that case. Look at the Rubik's cube. Anything but focus on what's really going on, and how this whole structure works. And I do believe that now. I believe wholeheartedly that it is always been and has always been profit motivated by the people, the bankers. I mean, it's my opinion, and I'm not talking about your local down here, although there could very well be. They're all part of the same system, but I didn't even know. I never correlated like World War I and II to that until a lot of things going on, a lot of the communication because of these platforms, which is why they like to take all your shit down all the time. And suspend you on the second podcast you did for 7 days, but I won that appeal. But Jimmy, I feel like I'm in high school again. But the way you do that, the way you stop a train from moving is you take away the tracks. You can't if you can't lift the train. And for us to make those slow changes to ever affect real change, you'll never have everybody on the same page at the same time to get that done. I just don't think. I don't know. And the provisions that were there by the founding fathers have been whittled and hacked away. I mean, used to be we had to buy war bonds to go to war. That existed because there's a reason. Because if we didn't want to go to war, we wouldn't buy the war bonds and they wouldn't have the money to go to war. That's how we maintain control of our elected officials. Somehow the foxes in the hen house turned it into, we don't need war bonds because we got these guys over here that aren't even a government entity that will just loan us our own currency and make it arbitrarily. I mean, they send us to jail for that monopoly money, but this reserve over here can just owned by the same, people that literally profit from the banks. Oh, whatever. You know what? Let's just start trading chickens and eggs and meat and water and things like that. Those are actually the most valuable things on the planet. It's not the dirty linen in your pocket backed by the worthless piece of paper behind it that says it's backed by the dirty linen, that little circle they got going there. Or this rock over here is more valuable than that rock because this rock is a different color. So that's what makes it. I mean, there's no wonder if there are aliens here, they're here because they think we're fucking crazy. But, to take away the means, what I was concerned with is that any day now, straw is going to break that camel's back with regard to the situation between Russia, China, and us. As we keep prodding and poking, go ahead and use our missiles and our stuff, and we'll send you more to attack them. I mean, the point being, and I don't know, I'm not a Putin fan. I don't know anybody in Russia either. I wouldn't get involved in that shit either if it didn't involve us. But, and I've never even seen China as a threat. I like their food. They're great food. They're always real kind, nice people over here. But I've heard some stories now that are pretty dark about what happens there. But you don't want that here. I can tell you that. You don't want that for your grandchildren, your granddaughters, or grandsons even, actually. But I just never really saw that as a problem. But obviously, it is going to be. And furthermore, sending our fighting age, soldier aged people in a draft to send them halfway across the world with the very few military personnel we have left, because remember, you ran all them out too by, they had to get that thing in, whatever in the arm. But we don't need to secure our border. We can let 11 or, whatever it is, 11, 20, 30 million just walk across on back today. But by God, if you don't get it, you're out of the military or you get fired from your hospital. I mean, what a fucking joke that was, and still is, in my opinion. But this isn't funny. This is not funny to be picking fights with the only other two probably militarily superpowered countries that we would ever have to be concerned with when they really don't want the fight. I mean, again, in the interview that with the reporter that we know who went over, Putin said, that NATO put Again, look, don't be banning my page. I'm just telling you what was out there. It's on the damn news. It was on regular TV news, so you know it's true. The United States frowned upon missiles at one time that were going to be put by his predecessor 90 miles off the coast of the state I live in. But he says that, he's supposed to be okay with NATO putting the same ones on his own border, like literally on his border down there. Look, I'm not getting involved in their shit, but turns out we are because, I'm giving them my money, my allowance and stuff. I don't have any money, but the other, whatever I had, they gave it to them. But so how do we stop it? Quickly, like an emergency meeting time, emergency fund, probably like leaning out of camera. Sorry about that. Well, podcasts were usually like radio shows anyway. The way to do that, I feel like these all are being passed on as a rider, as an additional legislation to a necessary legislation, like I said. So that needs to stop. That should stop anyway. That's just games, man. That's just fucking games. It lacks transparency. It creates, like you said, contentious politics, so they can argue over shit and get nothing done. And it compromises the legislation of the original bill that needs to get passed, and it delays it and everything else. So they get down to, you guys, you better come on our side because we're going for Thanksgiving. We won't come back till New Year's. If you guys don't, we're shutting it down. We're going to go broke because we don't have no money. We don't get bonuses or anything, Anyway, so there's many reasons why they do it, and it's not cool. It's not necessarily against any law or rule, but it needs to be. And that can be done by the American people. You would have a proposal for a single bill or banning unrelated riders on that are entrenched in legislative practices. They don't want to do it because that's how they've been getting things done, and they're all proud of themselves. Oh, we got done. You still get my time thing vote, but but you slaughtered this, that, or the other to get that through, and you compromised, and you did, which again, I'm not opposed to the compromise, but you're putting in bullshit. You're putting liver in my peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I like them both, but not together. That needs to stop, and then they can't fund them. They can if it's a separate, standalone bill that says, "Hey, America, we're all voting on Tuesday to send $100 billion of your money to this country," and maybe then some, y'all. I don't say you, but in general, people will start paying a fuck attention to what goes on. They talk about going to, you can have a march or demonstrate. Well, that worked out real well, didn't it? In January of whatever, there's people still being charged, and there's probably more. People's lives are ruined, and for going to their own building that they paid for. And you're not supposed to go behind the roped area, but is that really if anybody really get hurt or threat? I don't know. But anyway, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. But you can't demonstrate. And like you said, if you don't think that both sides are owned by the true people in power that run this, then you're sadly mistaken. I'm not. Again, Trump does his best, and he's not polished. I'm not inviting him over for dinner, but in lieu of, and that suck, in lieu of this or that, we're going to pick the lesser of the two evils. I don't know. All 300 million adults in the United States, but yet, I don't know, for some reason, 43 presidents of the United States share the same bloodline from King George II. And you can check that fact. That's not my fact. It was on regular news, so it must be true. No, but it is. A little French girl over in France spent all summer doing a project for extra credit or something. I don't know. And she went through millions of records. And it turns out no one had ever checked the lineage on the mom's side. They only did the father for whatever reason prior to that. It turns out she found out. Again, don't be banning me because I'm not making this shit up. Go look it up. I even got the story. And it was like, I don't know, some news station had covered it. That, yeah, they're all related. Even Mr. Obama is related to George Washington by his 11th grandmother. I don't know. But anyway, so this is weird, isn't it? Again, it's a question. Isn't that weird that all but one, it was like Woodrow Wilson or somebody? Where the hell did he come from? I don't know. Must have been a stand-in. We need to take away their ability because we cannot rely on them to do the right thing. They don't even have the power to do the right thing. Not that they don't have it within them anyway, but I'm not saying they're all bad. But the same, again, please fact check this. Don't believe a thing I say because I do a lot of fact checking. The same funding that goes on for one side is a similar person on the other side that does the same funding. And oh, by the way, they also correlate into I don't know. It's the Israeli economic blah 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 whatever. So they both are on that board together. But down here they're just like, look, we're not. I think we're not stupid anymore. At least some of us aren't. Maybe I'm dumber than I ever was. I don't know. But we need to stop this because I'm not sending your kids or mine to fight and die for somebody else's bullshit. Have we not learned anything from just at face value history? And now that we know even more, many of us, as to why all those people lost their lives, it's abhorrent. Abhorrent, however you say it. It's egregious. I know that word. Unreal. And ain't. I don't know how y'all feel. I'm just telling you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to leave my daughter out, but she's 30, something. That's to tell girls' ages, but she's just over 30. And that doesn't mean just because that selective service is up to 26 that couldn't be extended to whatever, ages. I'm sure I think you go up to 30 something normally with the draft. Nope, not for this shit. No, let's just end that. Let's just stop that talk there because I'll get upset. Anyway, does anybody know how you can file or in what means? I really wanted to sue the administration for everything, basically for job loss and income and everything, because they pissed me off. I'm tired of this every 4 years, 8 years. We pay the prices. It goes, these guys play games up there and they all come out, like the Richmond, North Richmond, allegedly. Maybe they don't, do they? These are the questions I'm asking. But you have to be able to bring that kind of a action, you would be claiming a preventative legal action, because if you wait till it's too late, then it's already too late and people have paid with the ultimate price. So you would have to create a case that, and again, it's not about whether they can spend money to go to the big W if you had to or whatever, although that's the way it used to be. You had to sell war bonds. If we didn't buy them, then you couldn't borrow it from the guy who just makes the shit up on a spreadsheet at the reserve. But so if we can stop the riders on those main bills, they again have to present the main bill. What kind of you'd have to have at least a legal basis for challenging that legislation. So I think it's called a stand or something. Let me see here. Efforts to address the issue would be proposal for a single issue bill. Yeah, okay, banning that. And then you would have to bring a lawsuit, and you have to have a standing, which I guess maybe is a reason, a legal reason. It means they must demonstrate a concrete, particularized injury caused by the legislation. So I asked, injury, does the injury had to have happened already? Isn't that a little bit too late? It's to prevent it. There's got to be some recourse to prevent that injury, and there is. So you can challenge on the grounds of basically the potential for that harm that would come from it. A person may argue that that federal law infringes the rights and oversteps the constitutional bounds. So suit can be based on the claim that a law violates our constitutional provisions, such as separation of powers or individual rights or sovereignty. So again, it would be more an amendment or a stay filed immediately that would prevent them from funding any more money overseas without at least a separate bill being proposed and voted on, and that should be across the board. No more burying shit that you guys want to argue in the stuff to get stuff done. That's some snake oil shit. Why are we letting it? We have an ability to stop it. We need to file illegal action to do that. I would say that it's likely that any more additional funding to another country to promote war would the argument might be that that it would any military intervention increases the likelihood that U.S. is being drawn into an armed conflict. And there are historical precedents that that state that. Obviously, they said we haven't learned anything from history. You have potential harm to American citizens. I mean, obviously, the continuation of these practices could result in a loss of American lives. I think it's pretty probable. Any court system, even however owned or not, is going to have a hard time disproving that. Maybe it almost sounds to me like anymore that the truth doesn't matter when it comes to court cases at all, and make it up as you go. But whatever, modern times. But that would definitely disrupt families and cause severe emotional, psychological stress on soldiers. I mean, I think we've agreed finally, haven't we? After how many wars and mental suffering for our soldiers, that there's actually a problem there. Let's not go down that road again. We have plenty of statistics that prove that that would cause irreparable harm to our citizens of this country. That is not, that is in direct violation of the rights of an American citizen for liberty, you know, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Direct conflict, period. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a provision to be called to defend our country, but are we never going to get past fucking going overseas so these war baron companies that we know who you are can just make fucking millions of dollars off of it and depopulate the earth even more? Stop falling for it, man, and say no. You know, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that provoking a war with those two countries will end up in irreparable harm, which may or may not be exactly what they want to happen, because there's only one republic standing in the way of a total control system. Oh, gee, who's that? I don't know who that might be. So anyway, you have those. There is legal precedents. There are cases: Clapper versus Amnesty, Susan B. Anthony versus, I don't know if that's over the dollar, D'Arius. There is Massachusetts versus the EPA. You are allowed to sue preventatively to stop the damage before it's done, and that's what needs to happen. I don't know how it happens. I don't know if it, how, you file frivolous lawsuits, you're not going to get anywhere. You're wasting your time. You have to be able to file a legal interpretation, which, I mean, again, AI is such a bad thing and can be such a wonderful thing. It can be trained in anything. But there's got to be some legal people out here. Maybe they've already thought about it. Maybe it's already happening. Maybe this whole conversation was just me testing the sound system and see if it works. But and giving my oh so valuable opinion. But if you, again, remove the tracks, the train can't move, take away their ability to fund themselves, and that needs to happen. People talk about the term limits. I've never really been for term limits. And the only reason is because you actually had somebody, which I don't know that's ever happened, in that position that does an absolutely astronomical, wonderful, phenomenal job. Why should you be forced to remove them? Well, it turns out because they've abused the system, that's why. And it's so corrupt. So we need to limit the spending, limit how the money comes. Everybody gets the same amount or no special interest money. Here's the rub. They don't need the money. They can make their own. And the super world, real people in charge, they have more than assets combined than the GDP of every country except two on this planet. So they don't even need it. They don't need it. They just make it up as they go, and we owe for it. I hate to see this country go to demise. I hate to see. I just hope we've learned something, man, in the past. I hope you don't send your kids to die on some foreign soil for some fucking bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors and a game of risk and monopoly by these barons. You know what? And I've heard it, and you may not believe it. I don't know if it's true. I don't want to state any facts, but why are we letting 536 people that we actually put there tell us what to do? Why are we letting 14 families? I don't care how far back their lineage goes back to the first, slime thing that cleared out of the swamp. Why? Why are you letting 14 or 12 or 11 or 9 or 7 or whoever the fuck it is tell the world 8 billion people what to do? You, God Lord, man, are there not enough of us to stand up for ourselves? But thinning our people down so we can't defend our own country while you systematically, we're not blind. A lot of people are. They're just not blind. They just haven't opened their eyes. They haven't seen. But by God, those of us have, you better be screaming from the highest tower. And we better be doing something to stop this, because you can see it coming from a mile away, man. I think my sound system works. That, or you've heard nothing I say. I look like a mime. We'll be back on with the pain train, myself. I'm not sure if Hammer Heavy's coming over Wednesday. Now I've kind of figured out this microphone and keep it real.